What if the most talked about baby pictures in Korean entertainment were never about a real child at all, but about the fantasy the world refuses to let go of? Right now, right before the next revelation, is your chance to stay connected. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another powerful story, another shocking twist, or another unforgettable journey. It began quietly the way modern legends always do, with a set of soft, glowing images circulating online. Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo side by side, smiling, gently cradling what appeared to be a baby between them. The photos were tender, almost unreal, a moment frozen in warmth, innocence, and possibility, and within hours the internet exploded. Because this was not just about pictures. This was about a story people have been writing in their hearts for years. Two icons. Two eras. One impossible question. Could this be real? In a world where every scroll brings another rumor, another headline, another fleeting scandal, these images landed differently. They did not scream, they whispered, they felt intimate, cinematic, almost like scenes lifted from a lost drama that never aired. A domestic calm, a shared silence, a baby wrapped in soft light, and two faces the world knows too well, wearing expressions we have never truly seen before. For many fans, the reaction was immediate disbelief, followed by wonder, then hope. Lee Min-ho, the global star whose roles have defined a generation, the lonely king, the eternal romantic, the man always standing at the edge of love, never quite allowed to keep it. Song Hye-kyo, the embodiment of quiet strength and timeless beauty, her career marked by stories of resilience, heartbreak, and grace, a woman whose eyes seemed to carry entire lifetimes. To see them together in such a setting even symbolically felt like destiny rewritten. But here is the truth beneath the fantasy. These were not official family photos. They were not an announcement. They were not a confession. They were part of a conceptual shoot, a creative project, and in some cases fan-generated imagery that blurred the line between imagination and reality so perfectly that the world paused. And that pause tells us everything. Because what people reacted to was not the baby. It was the idea of peace, the idea of healing, the idea that two stars who have given so much of themselves to storytelling could finally be placed inside a story that ends softly. Social media filled with comments not asking when or how, but saying things like, "This feels right, this looks like home, this is the ending they deserve." That is the power of cinema, even when it exists only in the mind. Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo have never officially shared a screen romance, yet their individual journeys have paralleled each other in uncanny ways. Fame at a young age, love scrutinized, loss magnified, and an enduring dignity in silence. So when these baby images appeared, whether as art concept or fan creation, they became a mirror reflecting what audiences long for, not gossip, but closure. A happy ending. Entertainment insiders were quick to clarify there is no confirmed relationship, no shared child, no hidden family. Yet, even as facts were stated, the fascination did not fade. Because facts do not erase feelings. In the images, Lee Min-ho is no longer the untouchable star. He is simply a man looking down with gentleness. Song Hye-kyo is no longer the woman shaped by headlines. She is calm, present, complete. Together they form a picture of what could be, not what is. And perhaps that is why this moment resonated so deeply. In an industry built on illusion, these images felt honest. In a culture obsessed with perfection, they felt human. They reminded us that beyond scripts and spotlights, there are people who deserve tenderness, just like the characters we love. So no, this is not a secret baby reveal. This is something far more powerful. It is a collective dream. A cinematic wish. A quiet reminder of why we fall in love with stories in the first place. And as the images continue to circulate, one truth becomes clear. Sometimes the most beautiful scenes are never meant to be real. They are meant to make us feel. And in that sense, Lee Min-ho and Song Hye-kyo did share something unforgettable with the world. Not a child, but a moment that felt like forever. And yet the story did not end with clarification. If anything, that was where it truly began. Because once the world had seen those images, it could not unsee them. They lingered not as proof, but as possibility. Not as news, but as narrative. Fan forums dissected every detail the way scholars analyze lost films. The way Lee Min-ho's posture leaned protectively inward. The way Song Hye-kyo's smile was not performative but serene. The way the baby became almost secondary to the atmosphere surrounding them. An atmosphere of calm that felt unfamiliar in an industry defined by chaos. People began revisiting old interviews searching for echoes. Moments where Lee Min-ho spoke of wanting a simple life away from cameras. Scenes where Song Hye-kyo described her longing for emotional safety rather than grand romance. Lines once overlooked suddenly felt prophetic. This is how myths are born. Not from declarations but from alignment. The images became a canvas onto which millions projected their own hopes. Hope that love can mature. Hope that broken chapters do not define the ending. Hope that even the most public lives can still hold private joy. What made this moment extraordinary was not romance but restraint. There were no dramatic statements. No denials filled with anger. No clout chasing. Only silence. And in that silence the fantasy grew stronger. Because silence invites imagination. Entertainment critics noted something rare. The public response was not invasive but reverent. People were not demanding explanations. They were saying thank you. Thank you for this feeling. Thank you for this softness. Thank you for reminding us why we believed in love stories. In a way, the images functioned like a short film without dialogue. A single frame suggesting an entire life beyond the screen. Morning light, shared meals, unspoken understanding. That is why the baby mattered symbolically. Not as a real child, but as the ultimate symbol of continuity, of legacy, of healing. It represented what fans felt these two figures had been denied for so long. A peaceful conclusion. Lee Min-ho has spent his career portraying men burdened by fate, kings bound by duty, lovers separated by time, heroes who save the world but lose themselves. Song Hye-kyo has portrayed women who endure quietly, who love deeply, who walk away with grace even when it hurts. To place them together in a domestic stillness even imagined felt like rewriting destiny. As days passed, the images stopped trending, yet they did not disappear. They settled into something more enduring. A reference point. Whenever discussions about ideal casting arose, their names appeared together. Whenever conversations turned to mature romance, their faces surfaced. Not because of rumor, but because of resonance. This is the strange alchemy of celebrity. Reality provides the raw material, but the audience completes the story. And perhaps that is the most honest takeaway of all. These images were never about revealing a secret. They were about revealing a desire. A collective yearning for stories that do not end in loss.
For icons who are allowed to rest.
For love that does not need to prove itself. So the question that opened this moment still lingers. What if? What if somewhere beyond scripts and schedules, beyond speculation and screens, these two artists one day choose happiness quietly with people who understand them fully, whether together or apart? Because in the end, the power of those images was never about who they were with. It was about who they could be. And in that fleeting cinematic illusion, the world saw something rare. Not scandal, not shock, but peace. And sometimes that is the most dramatic story of all.